Need a roll call?
Um, Generally, Mayor Pro Tem, we just have whoever's here just sound off for the record since it's not a formal meeting.
Okay.
Then we shall sound off.
Sure.
Elliot Brown, are you here? Waldorf. Yeah.
Trustee Peck here. Mayor Pro Tem Fisher here. Trustee Foster.
Trustee Ostrander.
You don't need a quorum, you guys will just do your time. Okay, well, the first item up is our beacon meters. Beacon is the company. Beacon is the keeper, Badger is the meter. And we have like a letter here.
Yes.
And then
Um,
also. Okay,
I'm not sure if Vinny is having, can you hear us, Vinny?
yes.
Oh, Vinny.
Any? Nope.
Nope.
We hear.
I think he's trying to figure out. Well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Ren Gruwell. I'm the account manager in Colorado for Badger Water Meter. We're the sole distributor at Be About Brock Easley. And we're just here to just touch base and talk about the Beacon Orion endpoints. They're located in homes and pits outside, and they will help deliver proactive leak detection through the cellular network. And these are pretty much designed for municipalities. The letter that is there talks about, I don't know if you could see the letter. The endpoints operate pretty much like a cell phone under normal operation. They wake up every 4 times per day to transmit reading data. The endpoints also transmit a very short message at a very low power, approximately 5 times each minute. Under typical operation, the endpoint transmits reading data for seconds per day, meaning that the endpoints transmit as little energy as a brief cell phone call. Additionally, the exposure to radio frequency signals decreases with the square of the distance to the device. This means the farther away anyone is from the radio frequency device, the less the RF contact. So that kind of is briefly talks about that. I'm not sure, Vinny, are you able to get in the call? I think he's having some issues. I'll just keep going. We were gonna swap, and he was gonna talk about the PowerPoint, but that's fine. I could do that. So this sheet talks about the data privacy and water usage. All customers, their data remains the sole and exclusivity property of the town. The data is not owned or repurposed by Badger Meter beyond delivering the contracted services. Those are 3 different websites that you can visit for additional information. Application infrastructure is hosted by AWS. A formal agreement is in place with AWS recovering security and privacy obligations. And then AWS maintains certifications, which Badger Meter will review every year. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can you go to the next slide? Vinny, did you want to talk about the third-party vendors? Can you hear us now?
Yes, I figured it out. So thank you for bearing with me there. Yes, in regards to the sale of data to third-party vendors, Badger Meter does not sell customer data to third-party entities. Subcontractors engaged by Badger Meter are bound by a subcontractor agreement requiring confidentiality and privacy compliance. Subcontractors typically have no access to customer data within their scope of work. And basically what's that saying is once we sell, the system to the town, the data and all the things in it belongs to the town. Badger does not own it, and they would have no right to sell it even if they wanted to.
Can you go to the next screen, please?
All right, so this goes into more about how the actual cellular endpoints work. And so the endpoint transmits RF signals well below levels typically encountered from common household devices like TVs, wireless phones, or cell phones. It operates similarly to a cell phone, and it actually only works 4 times a day. So you can think of that about like, 4 text messages a day. The rest of the day, it is just, sitting there waiting. Each transmission lasts just a few seconds, comparable to a phone or to a text message. Backup meter data signal transmits 4 to 5 times a minute at 1.4 milliseconds per transmission, 8 seconds total throughout the course of an entire day. And so in those concerns to RF exposure, it decreases with the square of the distance. Exposure at 2 feet equals 1/4 of the exposure at 1 foot. So just think about that. The further away you are from it, the better you are. Endpoints are typically installed in basements, exterior locations, or below grade pits, further reducing occupant exposure. So keeping them away as far as we can and putting them in good places, that are outside.
But we need a cell phone, radio frequency.
And that should be it for the slides. That was the 3 concerns that were brought up to us by the town and we wanted to address.
Can we ask questions now, or is it later better?
What they suggested is rather than getting into a Q&A session, that if you have any questions, follow up that you think of later, just send them to me and we'll put them together and send them to them. I'll answer them all of them. Okay, because these are not salespeople, they're the service people, so they
Mhm.
respond a little different like the salespeople.
Okay.
So what kind of system do we use now?
Called radio read system. So you drive down the street and it talks to the meters that are in the pits.
Does that not use an RF signal?
Yes.
It's obsolete now, we can't get parts for it.
Well, but still, it's a radio system.
Oh, I think people have been upset with the RF signal, that exposure, it seems to have been something that's been brought up, which these people are kindly addressing. So I'm just wondering, what's the difference?
It's just, this one's a cell phone signal, the one we're using now is a radio signal.
Okay, but don't we hold cell phones to our head and not think about that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, this
I'm
is,
sorry, I don't know.
No, I didn't interrupt you.
No,
I
I'm
wanted to
just
say,
saying,
yes, we expose ourselves to quite a bit of by holding our cell phone to our head.
right, and people are worried about the little bit of RF exposure that they may or may not get.
well, some people have asked questions, so they just want to be proactive and answer them. Right.
Okay,
I did a little digging and one of the things that came up was like the whole town is equivalent to about the same radiation as a couple of Wi-Fi routers with the level of signal that's given off overall. And so it seemed really benign in that aspect in my own research. I did do some other research that I had some other concerns with the forward compatibility with the ever evolving technology we have. I know that in my research, you guys have the Orion system had some issues when 3G got dropped, and then there were some other issues. And so these systems are modeled as exceptionally long life. But if the carrier drops the methodology of communication, then where does that leave us? And how does that all go? So there was one of the questions I had, and I'm sure you guys might be able to answer, is how much time does it take for the reader to read? Does he just drive around town and it takes a day?
You'll have a better answer than any of us.
So currently it's probably about 2 full days. Some of those radio readouts are getting more and more picky, to the point where it's instead of driving, it's almost easier just to park the truck and walk up and down the street to pick those hard to reach ones up. A lot of that probably has to do with the battery lifespan. Um, I can't remember their rating, but all the batteries are different. So we've had quite a few that die out that are still manually read. So that is part of the days of going around. We still have some that are just manual because we have ran out of the radio reads. It seems like some of those radio reads could still be sourced, but how long have they been sitting on the shelf since everything's moving to cellular? And since this is already a compatibility with our system, it just seems the best way to move forward. Plus, the aspect is you will be able to see in real time your water usage, detect your own leaks. And especially in a year like this, if you can track your own water usage, it'll really help you conserve.
So with this new system, each resident can track their own water?
They can put an app on their phone.
Well, how cool is that?
It reads it every like 15 minutes, so you can find leaks if everything's off and you're still running.
I have a question about that in terms of like, one of the concerns that was raised by the public was, does this constitute an invasion of privacy for the frequency at which the data is delivered to the town? Is there a way to have it delivered less frequently to the town,
Our
or?
meter collects that often, but we only download it.
Okay. So the specific comment that I received was, with that level of data availability, you would be able to reconstruct when a person was home and not home. And the individual was concerned about the government knowing when they were home and not home, like inside their home.
We would have to have a whole lot more staff. Okay.
Yeah, like why would we care about that?
I'm just bringing forward the concern that was brought to me to understand.
You don't.
Yeah. I think though on that app there is availability that if you are out of town, it will send you a message if it can detect something for the homeowners.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
And you can also set it up with the admin where you can create reports of homes that, you know, if they're going to be gone all summer, every summer or every winter, then they can watch their own house on their app, or the community admin can also watch it to make sure there's not leaks while they're not home. But in regards to like watching it, that's, you know, again, the software is sold to the community. So that's just, the privacy would remain within the community of Paonia. And I guess if you're home or not, I guess you're not always using water while you're home. So I guess you wouldn't know exactly if someone was home or not all the time. If they're worried about being tracked.
So there's two distinct things. One, the data's not living on your server, it's living with us because the software is here. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and then the second thing is, do we get enough data frequently enough to constitute being able to track someone's movements inside their own house, which was the concern that was raised. And what I'm hearing from Administrator Sund is we don't have that kind of time, or we have the desire to do so.
Yeah, it just, watching something that closely would take a lot of staff. We just can't justify that for the size town. I'm not sure you can justify it in any town, but you can have it in a city of billions of people, and the cost would be that great.
So just to play devil's advocate, just because we wouldn't want to do that, we don't have the time to do it, doesn't mean we couldn't do it.
You're saying, well, the endpoint is designed to track the water usage and make sure there's not any leaks, or, you know, someone they have a toilet that is running, or a hose outside that's been running. Like the endpoints are designed to track water usage. So, I mean, that's what it would do.
Created my privacy when I got a cell phone, that's a smartphone, but I think people are concerned that it could constitute some invasion of their home privacy, and I'm just trying to daylight what it actually means and what we're doing and what we're talking.
Maybe another way to frame it is the software that the town has, would then allow someone to view those kind of details in real time. Because if it's not accessible in real time, then whether it logs it or not could be less.
You say they collect it once a month, so.
Well,
it's
and
not
it,
fine.
and it said,
Well,
they
it's
said
not
it
different.
transmits it 4 times a day.
But-
So it's not transmitting it constantly.
Well,
Yeah,
and
it's
if,
collecting in 15-minute intervals, and then it'll bring that data to the city 4 times a day. And so one will be determined by Badger, and then which is the standard, and then 3 are configurable. So the town can, change that for how they read their meters or when they need to see data. But so it's not like real time. You wouldn't be like, oh, I can see that the water's going right now. But, when it does call in, you could see based off of a graph when usage was higher than it wasn't.
develop patterns off of the data. You could observe patterns off of the data. And if it's transmitting to someone's phone about a leak, then that's a pretty frequent transmission.
Well, but it's doing it 4 times a day.
Right.
So it is behind by several hours most of the time. And when you've got a leak, most people can't hear a leak until it's big enough that it's really measurable. It's amazing how they're not as loud as you think they are. And so you could have something leaking that's costing you thousands of gallons a month, and you don't even know what's happening, but this system can help you with that a little bit.
I have a question just as a hypothetical, is there any reason why it couldn't send the data to the resident 4 times a day and the town only gets the aggregated once a day total?
Not sure how this software works.
Yeah, it's just not developed that way. But really, if there's something I want to point to, that is that you will see the exact same thing the city sees. And so when you open up your app, if you're, concerned about your water bill or any of that thing, those types of things that you would call the city for, you can at least rest assured that what you're looking at your phone is what they're looking at. And that way you guys can work together and, resolve issues quicker and hopefully easier.
Yeah, we have had a lot of issues with water bills in the past.
So just to be clear, it's not possible to have the meters transmit only once a day instead of 4 times a day.
No, that would kind of go against the principle of it, because we want to track the water. The message that I was always taught was that the first step of conserving water is to measure it. And so we want that data multiple times a day. That's what, that's our goal, is to see more, not see less.
Jordan, I saw that your hand was up. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I think he kind of, but it's not like you're seeing everybody's data usage. You will get your own personal account number. It will only be for your water meter. You're not looking at the entire town or anything and able to single somebody out. The app is specifically for the homeowner so that you can track yours and conserve or understand when you can use more. Like, everybody's got some house plants. I got one named Dot. Sometimes it needs a little bit of water.
It's also for commercial use as well, for restaurants that maybe they're being abusive with how much water they're using, and these endpoints will help with that as well.
Public comment.
Absolutely. A work session, we all get to talk, don't we? Yeah.
You guys have any public comment? She wants to know if you have a comment. And it's open because it's a work session.
A little bit I know about RF frequencies is we're all exposed to way more than this is ever gonna do. You know, if you use your cell phone twice today, you got probably 10 times what this is gonna do. It's just a little, you wouldn't even know it. You know, stand in front of your microwave. You know, just in your house, we have an RF meter in our house, and our little granddaughter was like, stand 6 feet away from the microwave, you know, I mean, you know, they've got it down, you know. You go up to your TV, and as they said, as you walk away, you just watch the digital reading just go down, 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 down to nothing. Stand in front of your smart TV. Sit too close to your smart TV. You're getting way more in just everyday appliances and communication devices. Your car, RF frequencies. If you got a new car, if you got a Tesla, whoa, look out.
The overall idea of the thing is to be alerted when there is a leak. And it's not involving your billing necessarily, it's just to say, beep, 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 check that one out.
And we had friends that just had a leak, and it was 60,000 gallons.
Oh.
And it didn't, like you said, it didn't show up until the granddad got out of his truck and said, where should we start looking for this leak? He stepped out of his truck and there was a wet spot in their driveway, and he said, I think we should start here. They got a mini X out, and it was just gushing out of there, but it had been going for who knows how long. They got a bill for 60,000 gallons. So they would have liked to have this, I'm sure.
I got a bill for, I think it was 240,000 gallons. I had the Building Wilds wood shop is in, and the meter's way out in the parking lot outside of the fenced yard between all the houses, and it was during the winter. So it all kind of froze as it came up, and then all of a sudden the yard's not got any snow on it anymore, and yeah, that was fun. $3,000 water bill.
That's terrible.
If I could just toss out there, back when I was working the counter, you'd be amazed at how many people would come in the summertime to find out why their bill was so much higher and not realize how much it actually used just to water their garden or their plants outside. You know, so this is a way too that people could see that for themselves. You know, because it does use a lot more than you think it does. Just like a small leak in your toilet that makes it run 3 extra times a day can cost you hundreds of dollars. So.
And if you could you guys address the obsolescence issue with the network stuff? I think I read something about that you guys had a plan for that. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to these endpoints, you kind of want to think of it in 3 branches. And so one branch is the ME mobile endpoints, which is what they're using now, driving around. And then the other 2 branches are AT&T and Verizon. And so there's been many iterations of all 3 of these different types of endpoints. And what we will do, you know, and what we've done already is actually do a cell coverage analysis of your town and just figure out which service is best. And so once you've been prescribed a service, we would just keep you on that track. So there would be new endpoints that may come out. They may have a new name. FCC guidelines kind of make you change the name just because, you know, you started changing components and stuff like that. But once you're in that branch, you're going to get the new thing. And that doesn't necessarily mean that all the stuff you have is completely cut and washed away and obsoleted. And so going forward, you know, they may need to come in and switch a few out here and there, you know, or as time goes on, they'll have new endpoints, but you're going to be in this basically getting the same thing over and over again until, you know, maybe something changed, like maybe a different cell phone tower was built and now this other service is better for you. That would be the only thing that really constituted a change like that.
And is the units made so the endpoint itself changes out, the rest of the unit stays intact? And do you have any kind of changeover numbers as to what that would cost versus, you know, the whole new units that we're going to be installing over various changes?
Yeah, so I don't have the pricing here for that, but in simple terms, the meter is 3 components. It's the meter body, it's the encoded register on top, which is, you know, the plastic part, and then that cord runs to the endpoint. And so if they do need to switch out, and you're only switching out the endpoint, that's only 1 versus 3 components. And these endpoints have a 20-year warranty. And so if they fail within 10 years, it's pretty much guaranteed free replacement. So there's no cost. And then, every year after that until 20, it's down to about half off.
And we did do a cell coverage analysis of the community, and it's stellar. And we're doing a test pilot program right now. I think you have 6 units that have been installed endpoints, and we confirmed this afternoon that everything looks great. They're reading wonderfully. So you do have a really strong cell coverage in the community.
Must not be Verizon.
Yeah. I think it is Verizon.
Oh, I did. Will we get Verizon now?
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Full coverage. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone? Wow.
So when you guys have been servicing other communities in the past, how often, I say over the life of a 10-year or whatever, experience doing this, how often has the endpoint issue become a reality, and how often is it limited just to the endpoint?
So I would say most of the time it's just the endpoint. They're depending on installation. That's really the biggest factor in that sort of thing. And what I mean by that is, is your meter located in a pit outside with a composite lid that's not metal? That's ideal situation. And so then once you start adding in factors of maybe it's in a driveway where a car could be parked over it, or maybe there's a really big tree sitting next to this one. And so, in a healthy system, there will always be a certain amount of mitigation. So going around and fixing problems, but I would say it's a small outlier compared to the total system. When I look at most people's systems that are doing, proper practices and proper installations, their system health is usually sitting around the 90s in percent.
Can I answer your question?
I guess if you've had a municipality for 10 years, have you had to re-engineer more than just the endpoints in the average case? I guess I'm looking to try to understand how often.
The meter itself.
Yeah, the meter itself.
Realistically, most communities don't replace them as often as they should because they slow down over time. And it's really just from the lens of the cellular providers changing their technology. That wouldn't affect the meter. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's happened twice in the last 10 years or so that the cellular transmission technology has been changed, and then there's been compatibility issues and stuff from my research. So that's the root of the line of question. But what I mean is that the endpoint is just attached to the meter. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't affect the meter, will just keep running. Yeah.
Yeah, in regards to just the meters themselves, I think if you asked any expert, they'd say you should probably switch them out every 20 years. But in reality, that's not true. I've seen 40-year-old meters, I've seen 30-year-old meters, 35-year-old meters, and really the only thing that's going to stop those is freezage. And if you guys are using the disc meters, they're designed to break the bottom only when it freezes. In Colorado, we sell all of our meters with cast iron bottoms, and that's to preserve the meter if there is, cold enough water to freeze it. And so basically the bottom plate breaks, and then you just switch out a few gaskets and a new plate, and the meter is saved.
Jordan, I see your hands up.
Yeah, just wanted to touch on the point you made. We do use notating disc meters, and we're running a little low, so we need to order more, but it is the bottom plate that generally breaks on them due to freezing, which then just is a pretty simple repair, pretty easy to do right there in the field. And then if that breaks, that just means that we need to insulate the meter pit more because the meter was a little bit higher than it should have been.
Thank you.
Whose cost is that? Whose cost is that?
What did you mention?
Whose cost is that to repair a meter?
Generally, just the system.
Is the client or?
Well, just the system.
So the town bears cost, correct?
Yes, it's the town. The town does it. It's a simple turn off, pull that back plate off. There is like a couple more components sometimes that could have failed, but mostly they're good. Um, just pull off that cast iron plate, put it back on, and ready to rock and roll.
So then, Greg, in your experience with these more modern systems, do you see a difference in maintenance costs compared to the older systems?
Not really. The, as the technology improves, there's just less things that can go wrong. When they're all manual, you had to literally go out and spend a lot of time because you had to lift the cover and look at what the physical meter reading was for each unit. So that the radio reads improve that dramatically. And this just improves it one more level. But the maintenance of the meter, there really isn't a lot that goes wrong with meters other than they do slow down over time. There's people who think they speed up, but they don't. That's never happened. It can't register any more than water going through it. But at times, well, over time, they don't spin as fast as they used to. Because you get grit and different things like that in the meter.
Mhm.
It's better to, it's more proactive to change them out. Like he said, probably every 20, 25 years, but I've seen them 15, 60 years old that probably haven't turned in the last 20. And nobody complains when their water bill's low.
That's right.
Jordan, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that too. Greg is absolutely right. It will actually under register. So when people think that there's a problem with their meter and we install a new one, there comes with the caveat like this one's actually going to register a lot more accuracy. I want to say that it's anywhere from 98.4% to 101% accuracy. I know that sounds kind of unintuitive with going over 100%, but when they start to fail, they'll actually go down to about a 75% accuracy, which benefits the homeowner more than it actually benefits the water utility.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions for our Badger meter representatives?
And once again, if you have any questions or you think of something after the meeting, just email me and we'll send them to them and get answers.
That sounds great.
And that works for the public too. If they have any questions, just send them. If you can't figure out what my email address, just send it to paonia@townofpaonia.com and they get to me really quick.
Yeah, one thing I might just say is I think that this brings up something that got brought up, but kind of got lost with the cameras, which is that we could potentially use an update to our data use policy. As I know that the police have their own, but we don't necessarily have one, I don't believe. In terms of like how long we keep data, when and how we access data on an individual, just those types of like internal
The
guidelines.
state probably has that.
The state does have a
And
one
we are 100% controlled by those
because of our designation. Yeah.
because we're a local government. So we have to follow whatever the state does.
Okay. Does it make it stronger for us to have our own as well, or is just states?
I think generally it's just looked at as it's not necessary to have a local one because the state does keep really good track of what things need to be maintained and when. And it has to do with open records sometimes, not with data like this, but with a lot of other things where they tell you how long you have to keep stuff.
I'll have to learn more about it.
I don't know what the law is right now, but I can figure it out.
So we don't have anything more for our guests.
No.
So we could tell them they could have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for coming and educating us, answering our questions. We really appreciate you taking the time out to come and do that with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Yep,
Thank
always
you
happy to
also.
help, guys. Keep the questions coming.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Are we good on the Badger meters for the moment? You have the information you think we need? Or some of it anyway?
Minister Sim, can you tell us the timeline for this project right now?
I don't know what it is right now.
Okay.
It can be expensive. You know, a lot of towns have gotten into agreements with there's a state office of it's called, but it's using technology wisely and things like that. They can create loans to help you pay for this kind of stuff.
So we don't
I don't know if I
have
want
this
to go there
budgeted.
because we're taking on quite a bit of debt in the near future. So that's all stuff that we have to keep track of and see for sure that we can maintain those payments before we take on something else.
Additional cost.
Yeah. I was looking into, there is a retrofit option. I think it's called the Neptune R900. That's still radio frequency operated. That's not cellular operated. It's about half the cost of the per unit. And if he's saying it's been a couple of days for somebody to drive around, but there's a lot of, headache and walk, maybe it's a one day kind of a job. And I don't know what the cost benefit analysis of that You have is. to have 2 units. That's a different company. Neptune is a different
It's a
company
different
than
company.
Badger, so their radio frequency collections an entirely different.
Okay, do have Badger.
Yes. And that's why we're looking at Badger, because it's an easier transition. We can change out the end units without changing out the entire meter.
Okay, I thought from what I looked at, it said the Neptune would do it. If you've done further research, I have probably default to that.
The 2 companies compete. They don't like to coordinate that much.
Okay.
And we've started a pilot program of sorts for
Yeah,
this.
we've installed them in a few places and that's what they're testing.
Okay, but we still need to figure out the budget to pay for this project.
Yeah, I have not heard that there's an actual project started yet to put them throughout the whole town, because to do that is expensive. It's not replacing the meter in every case, probably in most cases, but it will start to point to ones where we do have to replace.
In terms of the projects that we do have coming down the pike, how would you prioritize this? Is this like an important step in efficacy of the system?
Well, accuracy.
Accuracy.
Yeah, I think you want to keep the system as accurate as possible, because we're not in business to give away water. And if the meters are not accurate and it takes us 2 or 3 or 4 months to figure out that it's not accurate, or in some cases way longer than that. Because just to show you, we don't even have the people that can watch meters all the time and see if they're moving slower. We just don't have that capability. So this will actually help us.
So are you thinking, based on how well the pilot goes, to start when we replace meters, we replace them with this kind of meter? So you're not talking about a system-wide update, but as a maintenance continues?
We're doing it at smaller scale where it's something we can afford with just cash.
Uh-huh.
With the system.
Jordan, I see your hand is up again.
Yeah, just wanted to touch base. It is just a pilot system. We were allowed 10 new meters, 10 new endpoints. 4 of them are still awaiting their home. That's a completely different discussion. But going on with like the Neptune stuff and everything, Neptune is a tried and true. And now that I mention this, you'll probably see it around other communities. It's a much bigger endpoint. Seems to have a little bit bigger of a readout, takes a little bit different of a reading system that we have. So that would be another cost that goes to it. But we did look into another style of endpoint that would work. And this is probably the way you really don't want to go, is where it actually is provided by Amazon and it uses customers' Amazon appliances to bring that information back in. So just something to think about intrusity and where some of that technology actually is leading to, and not just you can monitor it yourself while the town just gets 1 reading a month.
Thank you, Jordan. Feeling good about battery meters. We can move on to our next agenda item.
Yeah, about the pilot project that's underway. Yes.
Our next item is departmental vehicle purchases. The police department is, new vehicles, town needs some new vehicles, is this right?
We budgeted for 1 for the police and 3 for public works.
And is that what we need, or do we need more?
Well, that'll get us by this year, but we need to update vehicles. I can't continue to have them for a lot of since Jordan said they've got 1 vehicle right now that you can't use second gear. It goes from first to third.
Oh, nice.
It's actually out back if you want to go inspect it.
Take it for a test drive.
Yeah.
See how many more gears you can draw. It's all about the RPMs, man.
Yep. And so one of the things that I introduced was buying vehicles off the state bid. And by doing that, you can, if you don't customize them too much, you can get them fairly in a reasonable time frame, and also at a good cost because the state bids out a lot of units. And so you get a better price.
Right, so what vehicles do we need for public works and for
There's
PD?
3 pickup trucks for public works, and whatever their preference is for police. Chief said he likes pickup trucks.
Hey, chief, what you want over there, man? One?
Yeah, so most of our fleet consists of Ford Explorers. When you look on state bid, the F-150 is about $3,000 cheaper than the Explorer. That would be something we'd have to check and look at. The other thing is, not to throw a wrench into this, but when you look on the state bid, most of those build sheets, they're pretty clear. They're 150 to 300 days out when you look at them. So that's another thing to take into account as well.
So that's several months until delivery. Yes, okay.
Good.
And do you need a vehicle sooner than that?
Good.
I mean, I know it would be most helpful.
Yeah, so I can speak on behalf of me. So here's where we're at. The vehicle we're gonna replace is a 2011 Crown Vic. I think you guys are familiar with those cars. That car's real fine. So the miles on it, it's sub 100,000 miles, it's right around 85,000. The big reason it's low on miles is because there's about 3 months out of the year we can't drive at all. It's tight because it's rear-wheel drive. It doesn't have a radio in it and it tends to overheat. That's the vehicle we're looking to replace. From a fleet health standpoint, yeah, it definitely needs some work. You've got 4 Ford Explorers, they're all 2016 models as far as 10 years old. more important than their age, is we're their third police department. 2 of them went from Grand Junction Police Department to Olathe, that's Apelia. 2 of them went from Montrose Police Department to Olathe, that's Apelia. 2 of them are 65,000 miles, the other 2 are 145,000 miles. Those would be next in line. But traditionally, when you're looking at fleet, it's not in our best interest to replace an entire fleet at one time. Because then, a couple years down the road, you're having to do it all again, big chunks. But a scheduled replacement is really the better way to.
Okay.
But yeah, for now, one vehicle, we'd be replacing that 2011 Crown Vic.
Okay. One thing I noticed looking at the capital purchase list though is for the public works, it has all 3 vehicles being charged to water. And they're used by everybody in public works. So there's there's probably one of these will be used primarily by streets. Streets and maybe sanitation, but we may have to seriously look at charging them to whatever departments we think they're going to be used in, rather than charging them all for water. It just doesn't feel right.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's much better. Jordan?
So the initial talk about this was we actually have 3 hand-me-downs from the police department, which is currently my truck, Rodney's truck, and then another one that we use for parks. So we're talking about mileage, but kind of it comes down to hours on them, which has been a lot of the decay of it. A lot of it was being charged to water because we wanted to get another 3/4 ton to pull equipment around. Just kind of a smaller vehicle for other active themes. And then one of them was kind of going to go to a public works director that doesn't need that large of a truck. So it was going to be a smaller truck. Just for zooming around town, checking out projects and what have you there. All the vehicles do get used through almost everything. It just depends on the situation, especially if it's an emergency, you're jumping in the closest vehicle that is there. But I do encourage you, even after this meeting, to go and look at the 2 Chevys that are staged out back. One of them which is missing a gear, and the other which was used as a snowplow, so I'm sure the front end on that is not looking great. We just need to make sure that we're not doing vehicle maintenance in the middle of an emergency. The trucks that we currently have would be kind of handed back down to other parts of public works, while the oldest ones would see their way to that auction or any other way that we wanted to see them out of our fleet, because they're not helping us.
Okay. Thank you, Jordan. That helps to know. So in our budget, do we have enough to do all of this?
Yeah, I think so. There's plenty of room in the capital improvement fund. We have, I think, 1.3 million in cash in that fund at this point. Okay, that's in the goal is to invest that money in capital improvements that are necessary for the town, not just to save the money. If we're not spending it, we shouldn't be collecting it.
Right, I understand, yeah.
I think we need to look at how much we're going to project being there at the end of this year and work that into the 27 budget. And if we can buy more stuff at that time, we should think.
Right, it sounds like we need to start investing and replacing some of our fleet vehicles.
The thing to keep in mind is capital improvement sales tax that benefits the general fund, not the utilities.
Right.
So the utilities pay for their purchases directly.
Is that why you're also proposing we change how they're billed?
Yeah.
So we can bill each vehicle to each specific utility department, water.
Well, the utility ones, the water and wastewater, that tends to be the same crew. Streets and solid waste or trash, whatever you wanna call it, tends to be the same crew. So they use those across between them. So for the ones that are purchased for water and wastewater, that's where we would split those.
Right.
For the ones for streets and trash, we would split them that.
They're right. I understand that clarification.
So nothing's gonna be charged probably the full cost of the vehicle. Because you split it between two funds.
Right. Do you have any other questions about?
I was just
Discussion.
curious, Administrator Sun, why, what you hoped we would take away from this discussion today in the work session that we wouldn't have gotten to in a normal meeting.
Well, this is more introducing you to the purchases. There's been times when purchasing vehicles has been a challenge for the town. And we wanted to demonstrate to you that we do have vehicles that really need to be replaced. They're just not in a condition that we can continue to use them safely. And that was the goal of this report, just to raise awareness.
Yeah, to add to that, the discussion that occurred previously too was, when we workshopped these last year, when we were preparing this year's budget, we kind of discussed this, but as this year rolled over, we started in 26, it became clear which this board is almost completely different than the board of the workshops had. So, fair is not the right word, but it didn't seem prudent to be bringing these to you with no discussion at all, when this board wasn't involved in any of those workshops, any of those budget discussions, and isn't aware of the condition of fleet, because we haven't had those discussions.
Thank you. That is appreciated.
I have a couple of thoughts. The lead time versus the cost savings on what you guys need, it's like $300 to $600 a month to not have a vehicle.
Part of it's how you want to buy the vehicle.
Yeah.
Because they do go to a dealer, so they're not. There's a whole bunch of dealers that bid state bid. And so you can pick the dealer that's selling the vehicle you want. And if you want to customize it, just like if you personally go buy a
Okay, so it's the
vehicle,
customization, that's the lead time, not the vehicle itself.
if it's on their lot, they can sell it to you pretty quick.
Okay. Right. I was saying, it didn't seem like, it seems like that $300 a month shouldn't be a cost barrier to you guys having like.
Yeah.
So timing, customization, I get that.
I'm not familiar with public works, but for example, for us, both Dodge, GM, and Ford all have specific law enforcement packages, but those packages include several things like wiring pigtails, so everything can be hooked up correctly. We're not splicing any harnesses or anything like this. That's where that order bank kind of opens up. They'll order that specific vehicle. But if it was a situation where, for example, you were just wanting to order a base model Ford Explorer and then take it to a third party to be outfitted, if there's one on the lot, there it is. It's just that now we're introducing another element to the purchasing cost.
The dedicated model that you guys need is the lead time is on the model specifically, it's not on the acquisition.
Yeah, unless, like you said, unless they have it, which, yeah.
I don't know if Ford has changed. They used to make police vehicles twice a year.
Okay.
So I don't know if they've changed that, but that used to be the rule.
Yeah, Colorado's not unique in this way, but also right where, July for the state level is different fiscal. So we're starting right now, there may be a large influx of those vehicles, just not sure. Okay. Thanks. And they are out back if anybody wants to take one.
Might want to take one for a spin.
At your own risk.
Favor.
Well, we appreciate the heads up, thank you.
Yeah.
Is the silver truck not part of the town's force? Because I see you had 2 Explorers, but.
There's 4 Explorers, 1 Chevy Equinox, Crown Victoria, and then the patrol truck.
Okay.
Patrol truck is a 2021, and it was purchased used at the time, and it's an example of a vehicle that was purchased used as a base model truck and then sent to a third party to be outfitted the way it was, which included the interior cameras, the lights, the radio, those things got added on there. That's also a hybrid, which started out as kind of experiment. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, never really noticed it until very, 2 weeks ago I saw it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was new.
When we talked about a fuel line budget, for the type of patrolling we're doing in town, it's very efficient. I mean, it just shuts off and runs on battery power. A lot of the time that's fast. It's fantastic.
That's great.
But just kind of have to see what's available, what's been purchased through the state bid process.
I need to familiarize myself with that. It's in my notes. So come up once before, but I didn't circle back yet.
Okay. Are we're comfortable with knowing about vehicle purchases and what? Let's move on to number 3, SB 24-174 housing addendum.
We have the addendum report from we use the same consultant we did to do the report in 2023. They've been very responsive, willingness to work with us, so it just seemed logical to just.
That's urban rural continuum? Is that urban rural continuum?
Yes. And they produced a report, it's in the packet. The original 2023 study is 170 pages, this one's I think 39.
Oh, so well done.
This is just young. So what the purpose of the update was to meet a new state law that was passed in, I think, 25. It's maybe not 24, it's 24-174. And it addresses things in housing that weren't addressed in the original assessment of needs. Those being how many houses, for instance, are handicap accessible. And they address those kind of things. How are we dealing with housing for people who experience homelessness? Are we addressing that or not? And we're really not, when you read the report, there's a little bit of attention to that given in Delta County, but there isn't a big effort. But there's just a few things that were addressed in that bill that are housing issues. Realistically, you should be thinking about, even if you don't really have a way to deal with them at this time.
And are those the pages that were included in the packet, the new ones?
It should be in there.
Yeah, it is. There's the pre-existing housing needs assessment, and then there's the housing needs assessment. I have that done.
So did you want us to become more familiar?
Well, I just wanted you to see what the document was a week before we asked you to approve it. I think it should be,
Yes, we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much.
so that you have a little time to look at it before you're asked to approve it.
I appreciate that.
So this is all still gated by the water moratorium, but it's required by state law. It's not.
Well,
we're kind of like
we got,
in the middle there.
I wouldn't call it required by state law, it's
Or
something that comes from the Department of Local Affairs. And it was, the first one was a grant, this one was also a grant. And they exist just to help you be more successful as a community. They're wonderful to work with, but they don't issue edicts really when they're doing grant programs. They're there to help you. So they want you to be aware of what your housing situation is, whether you're meeting housing needs in the community, whether you're not, how you could maybe address it differently. But you're absolutely right. We have water moratorium right in the middle of this thing. So we have the report, but we can't do a whole lot with it.
Nothing really actionable. I mean, that's a voter issue, not a trustee issue or a town board issue.
Yep.
So.
And we're working on it, you know, where we've got Wright water engineers that are studying our water system. they produced a phase 1 report, now they're working on phase 2. And hopefully through all of this, we'll be able to come up with a measurement of how much water resource we have. That would be wonderful.
Housing has always been tight and it'd be great to be able to add a few, but we don't want to tip the scales and all those things. So when you put this in front of us to be, is it approved or what's the action on this? Is it just to approve the update and the report and add it to the record?
Just, yeah, approve and accept the report.
Okay,
And then that just gets added to the housing needs assessment.
Yes.
It's also attached to the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
So then instead of 170 pages, it's 109 or 209.
I was waiting to hear you say that.
Just a little light reading before you go to bed.
I start my morning with coffee and jungle vegetables. Plant science, so it's fun. I enjoy digging in.
Okay, so we need to familiarize with this.
Yeah, I would really ask you to do that, so you know what's in the addendum. Again, if you run into people in the public who want to know what we're doing and why we're doing it. I talked to people who thought there was an absolute mandate in it that we deal with STRs. It's not. Assesses that in the original study, but it's not like a huge concentration on them. And the purpose of it is to just show how many rental units we have, how many we think we could potentially need. So are we meeting our housing needs or are we not? And how can we plan to address that more? Like one of the things we've talked about before is, you know, people call them ADUs, but I prefer calling them backyard cottages. It's a nicer word. That is by far the least expensive way to add to your housing stock. But we can't do that right now because we have a moratorium. So it's something that we can look at and plan for the future to meet needs without making a huge adjustment or doing additions of housing areas in the town or doing large annexations. By doing these small cottages, you meet that need fairly quickly.
Standing, awesome. Yeah, like that.
It has very little impact.
Right, so we already have that. I mean, we're set up for that.
Well, there's a lot of houses that already have them.
Right.
They've had them for 100 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Need to get them on the book.
Get one book. Okay, are we comfortable moving on? Then we'll go to our final matters discussion of waiving the sewer tap fees for septic tank users.
This was an issue I raised in my report at the last meeting. We think 15 to 20 houses that in the early 70s were built. And at the time, we didn't have sewer extended to those houses, so the town must have allowed them to put in septic tanks. But they're on really small lots compared to what generally houses operating septic tank have. The state, when you look at the rules they have for septic tanks through Colorado Health and Environment, they do not mandate a certain lot size. The way that they regulate septic systems is they do what's called perk tests. I don't know if anybody is familiar with them, but you essentially take a post hole digger and dig 2 feet down into the ground and fill the hole with water and see how long it takes to drain out. That works in some places, that doesn't work in other places. Like here, if you can get to the river pretty quickly, that's not a good measurement for a perk test.
Even a perk test isn't a good measurement for.
Yeah, perk test is not very accurate. And so everywhere in town might act a little differently if you try to do a perk test in the area. Now with Delta County, they do have a minimum size of an acre. And these are not acre lots we're talking.
Okay.
So we need to visit with Delta County because I'm sure they are not licensed or regulated under Delta County. They're probably been in there long before that regulation happened.
And could you refresh my memory again, are, these 15 to 20 houses all in one area?
Yeah, they're in a neighborhood in the southeast of town,
Okay,
I think, somewhere in that area. And the town put in sewer lines, and it looks like about 75, so they built these houses like 2 or 3 years before the sewer line was put in. And the way our ordinances read, if you're within 400 feet of a sewer line, you have to attach to it. But my guess is if you had people who invested what it costs to put in a septic system, the town kind of just let them stay there, because it's expensive to put in a septic system.
that's what it is.
And now we're 50 years later. And I think we need to do whatever we can to encourage them to attach to the sewer system. And one way to do that is not charge them the tap fee for a sewer, because they've been operating for a really long time. We have not enforced the law. So that's a little bit of a shame on us. And just get them connected to the system, because if you don't have a lot of property in which to handle the water produced by a septic system, it's going to find a way. Whether it finds its way to the river or to your neighbor's property or wherever it's going, if the ground isn't soft, I honestly don't know where the water's going. So there may be old gravel layer underneath parts of the town that go right to the river.
Do you want to give the public comment? Penny?
What?
Do you have a public comment? Can I speak?
Absolutely.
I'm here concerning the septic tank sewer line.
I definitely speak.
I live at 525th Street, kitty corner from the park stage.
Oh, yes.
And my septic tank's been going for about 70 years. And it's failed.
Oh.
And I have to go to get a line. And this morning the Roops came and looked over and talked to me about possibilities of how it could work. And when I called the town, I just said I need to talk to somebody about connecting to the town sewer system. And she said Jordan would call me, but then she called me back. She said, come to this meeting. So this is my brother-in-law, Todd Weber, and he came and listened to the Roops and
also the septic.
and also the man that came to pump the tank. And he said, I'm astonished this lasted this long.
Oh, wow.
And
We know exactly where it's going.
I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah.
anyway, I'm very eager to know, but you said if it makes better and easier.
We would prefer that you hook to the sewer main that's in your alley.
It's not an alley.
I think there is.
I don't have an alley.
You don't.
No,
So it's a little bit
on
different
the other
area.
side of the street from where the alley ends, there's no alley.
It's not exactly the area we're thinking about, so there may be more of these.
It's in a different part of town than you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
But we.
just when I saw what you're considering, when I called the town, I didn't realize that this meeting was gonna be happening. But she said you should come to this meeting because they're considering the waiving of the tax fee. And needless to say, I'm gonna have to hire the Roots. And so it would be helpful to me. And I don't have any choice in the matter whether or not to go with this because I don't have a septic tank anymore, more or less.
Well, putting in a whole septic system with a brand new tank would cost more than running it to the sewer.
Well,
I don't think you're even allowed to put in a septic once at that stage of the game.
If you're within 400 feet of a sewer main, you're required to attach to.
the place where my house is used to be an orchard. And it was probably the first house built. It's just what would have been the edge of the orchard. And they put a septic system in, but now it's got a whole residential area there, and I think it's all on sewer. but, except for me. And so when we bought this house, for some reason, we were here at the town office looking at the map, and somebody in the town office said, why is that on a septic system? And I thought,
1953.
anyway.
So it would be a prompt for you to have the fee waived.
Absolutely, because between, I looked under the house today, I've been there through this process. And it's all old cast iron pipes within the house. It's also Orangeburg pipe like that you have sitting there, and it is collapsing. And we did have a gentleman come out and he pumped both tanks. One of them was boulders and railroad ties poured in place back in the 50s, and there was a line exiting it, but could only go in there with his scope about 10 feet, and it was right over the greenest spot of the lawn. So we know it's just going out a very short distance. And there's a lot standing, very brackish, stinky water right next to the garage. And so as soon as they pump the tank out, that goes away. But he said it's pointless. He said, I'm just buying you time by pumping out what it was 1,200 gallons between the two tanks. And so she's doing laundry at our house, and
In short-
trying to keep that thing working. But a plumber's gonna have to do everything in the house. That's all gonna have to be rerouted, because now we have to go through 2 foundation walls to go out the one direction. But the way it has to go is towards the street, and it can go either way. I've seen there's 2 manhole covers, so I think it's easily accessible. And when Mary Roop looked at it, she says, well, we need to find out if this sewer line here is running north, south, or east or west. If it's on North Fork, or if it's on Fifth, or if it is, there's some easement next to the house, behind the house, we don't know. But it'd be better if it was on North Fork or Fifth, because then we could just go straight out of the house. It's gonna be some work, so that's gonna involve quite a substantial out of pocket.
We took up all of Jordan's time this morning, well into the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, he was not able to call you.
He actually needs to stand.
Jordan, would you have something to say, my friend?
Yeah. First of all, I want to address the Orangeburg. That's terrible. That's a rough pipe to have to deal with. I was reached out to Roop Excavating on Monday. And I did bring this to the office to figure out what was going on. I did talk to them again this morning. I believe it was this morning, where I let her know about this meeting that was going on. I believe it would be behind the house, actually on 6th Street, which would be the place to tap in. And there is many lots back there, which seemed like an annex happened where they were allowed to have septics. And it's strange, but it's not an uncommon tactic where the septic actually almost works as a first point of that wastewater treatment before it enters a sanitary sewer. So it is an acceptable practice. I'm not saying there can't be problems with it, but I would agree that if you have been annexed into town for a variety of years, and I assume there's been a sewer tap paid for, because obviously that's not monitored, that it would be acceptable to tap into our sewer line. I do want to touch on the other point, though, that getting to our sewer line does require a cost, because we are only responsible for the main. So that service line does need to get there in one way or another, and then deems our inspection. And so there's still a cost. But I would agree that in situations like this, where they are part of the town, they probably shouldn't have to pay for a sewer tap. They just need to get it to that sewer.
Administrator Seth, are you recommending that what part of the fee are you recommending we waive?
That we waived sewer cap.
in its entirety.
For these existing homes.
Yes.
And so that would be brought up at our next meeting then,
Yes.
as a policy. Okay.
Okay. Jordan, do you have anything else to say?
Other than I'm sorry that Orangeburg pipe was installed. Not really.
Okay. I see your hand still up. I'll make sure I don't forget you. Yes, ma'am.
Having never done this before, I don't know the steps. And if we go with the roof construction, they will check with you folks, or, I mean, I can't decide how to do it.
If it's like from the sewer line to the house, is that what you're talking about, that?
Yeah.
We need,
So we
we
need
need to
everything-
know from this.
You deal with it in the house, but this is connecting to the sewer.
So the excavation from the foundation of the house to the line, you would take care of it.
No, we're not, we're just.
It's just a hookup.
Yeah, waiving the fee,
Okay.
Waiving the fee, but
Which is-
no, my thought is,
which is either $5,000 or $7,000.
and I'm really grateful if that is accomplished. I'm just saying, the next step is to find out, for the Roops to find out through the town.
Where
they
you want to hook up
Well, they
at?
should start digging,
Right.
you
Well,
know, and I'm just saying, who do we ask?
they'll know, they and Jordan will know where the
They'll
sewer
be
line is.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just a standard practice, if you wanted to call into 811, we'll go out there, mark the sewer line. I have talked with Roop's office staff about this. We'll figure out the best place to tap you in. You will not, or this is my understanding. I think, I don't know if this motion has been passed, but my understanding is you would be responsible for excavating all the way to the main. We will provide the tap, which is just basically an opening that generally your excavator does too. They put in a secure fitting. They will connect you to our sanitary sewer. And that's the way we generally do it. I'm not sure how deep it is over there. But the town doesn't have the capacity to go as low as most of the sewers need to be gravity fed. But the only cost, from what I'm understanding, would be the excavation company coming in to do that tap, and we would provide the tap.
Great, thank you.
And that decision would be made next Tuesday at a regular meeting, so it can't be made today.
Sorry.
No, she's just clarifying that that would become official policy when we vote on it next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Okay.
I just don't want anybody to do anything out.
But you folks would work with the Roops on how to do whatever, just,
Yeah, the public works department.
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me say so.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming in and speaking. We really appreciate you doing that. It's important.
I'm just in a place like saying, I had no information about this, and people said, there's a meeting.
Information.
I told somebody along the line, I said, I think I have no choice because the septic tank has failed. And I said, of course, I could just dig a hole in the backyard and have an outhouse, and that didn't go over there.
When I was doing some research on this today, I also put a spin on like what kind of grants are available and what kind of subsidies are available, and is it warranted to try to have one contractor that multiple community members can move into. I know that's more than the scope of what we're talking about for the vote for next meeting. But one of the things that did come up to as interest is that the USDA section 504 for very low income homeowners. But 62 and older who can't repay, there's outright grants potentially for up to $10,000. So I don't know the validity of these things in these situations, because I'm just beginning to self-educate on this, but I think it would be warranted some investigation in either communal, like, if there's 15, 20 people that need it done, we should get a group rate somehow, or maybe there's a way to say, okay, we're gonna waive the tap for the next 3 years. Or for the next 5 years, it's an incentivization for people to move forward with these and not postpone it. Or, there's a variety of other potentials, but I think that the more investigation on the structure, methodology of getting this all brought up to speed as soon as possible should be looked at.
You should look and see you qualify for those USDA.
I'm sure you get USDA grants. Low income.
Well, social security, so.
Yeah, and it's a good, if you do qualify for it, they're really helpful, so check it out.
My research at section 504, USDA section 504.
Well, thank you. Thanks for letting us speak.
Absolutely.
The whole meeting's rather interesting. I thought, I know you do these meetings continuously. I should come say what's going on around here.
Yeah.
No.
We would love to have you.
Well, it's a bit for one. Anyway. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lisa.
Our needs are we good for our meeting? Then Greg, did you get to finish everything you wanted to say on that topic?
Yeah, I just, again, it's just something I think we need to address.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I like what trustee Brown's proposing is a timeline to try to incentivize a change.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, too.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
And then just out of curiosity, I know I will get out of here, but have you ever seen or participated in group programs for like replacement where there's?
I've not run into having a whole lot of septic systems in town before. So this is
All at once?
One of the municipalities that was cited in my research I did, they were actually able to get a loan and then add it to the property taxes with the lien against the property so that the homeowners didn't have to come out of pocket all at once. And then it becomes just like they're paying for it over the next 10 to 15 or whatever amount of years annually, but then when they sell their house, the town would get reimbursed. So it's several creative options.
That's kind of taking the special assessment approach. Special assessments are more often than not used for like street improvements or things like that, but you pay for it from your house, just measure.
Gotcha.
But they're flexibility for other things. And they do, if you, a lot of times, if it's a big project, you bond it or take out a loan of some sort and then charge you over time.
Okay.
And it can even be transferred from one property to an owner to the other. So
Yeah.
the biggest problem with those is when you have a special assessment on a property, sometimes the appraiser doesn't look those up very well. And suddenly you bought a house and you realize that you have one more feed.
Can I address one more thing?
For a dollar.
I like the idea of everybody being able to do it at the single time. But I also need to address what that might do to the sewer lagoon, because a failing septic could send a lot of failed treatment down to my sewer lagoon.
This wouldn't be piping
All at once.
the septic system into the sewer. This would be replacing entirely. So you would be taking a sewer line out to the main, not from the septic tank.
So that's what I was saying is it actually is a common practice in some places where from the septic, it has just been tapped into the septic to get into the sewer. That's where I was saying it's kind of like a pre-treatment. To bypass that is one thing. A lot of that is, yeah, if you have pumped that septic, if you understand what I'm getting at, is some of that septic that hasn't been fully treated because it is failing gets in there, it could potentially throw our limits up. So to put somewhere between 15 houses onto that at a time could cause us some problems.
But we want them to not do that.
Yeah, we're trying to, these are what do this.
No, we want them to take from their house directly to the sewer.
Okay, so it'd just be their septic needs to be completely pumped and then we'll do the repiping.
Yeah, and the septic would be abandoned.
Okay.
Remove
Awesome.
Absorbing every single septic tank at once.
No.
Awesome. Some of the studies I have read has been tapping into that septic to just take what would essentially, be going to their leach fields.
In one other thing that popped up, and Steve was talking about the wonders of septic systems, if there can be proven that they're leaking, like the lady said, she had a puddle by the garage, there's, more grant money available, and a larger percentage can be commandeered for the projects if they're shown that they're failing, especially if we were like, show that they're failing further outside than, like they're getting to the river or some of these other things, like there's potential there that, in fact, if there's a puddle, she might have to pay a lot less.
Right, the town can point her in that direction though, but it'd be up to her or.
Oh, yeah, no, that's,
It's son-in-law, or brother-in-law, or whoever that has to apply for the grants, it's exactly.
yeah,
I
no,
don't think it's good enough, you can get her.
but we, if this is something that several dozen of our townsfolk are gonna be dealing with, there might need to be a septic system liaison.
Right.
Or somebody that's like, hey, I figured out how the grants work, here's everything you guys need.
Yeah, or just like a packet at the
Yeah,
front office, so that if someone calls in, it's like, make sure you check these and see if you're eligible for this thing.
absolutely.
And this you have 3 years, I don't know, whatever, if we put a timeline on it, and so there's just a page or something overview that Sam and Ruben, whoever can give out.
That's perfect, that's what we need.
I think that's great.
I don't wanna be the septic liaison.
You volunteer.
Actually, it's probably, there's a lot of people that don't even realize what happens when they flush the toilet.
You gotta go with the red X, man.
Well, that's bad stuff.
You put something, you gotta put bacteria in there,
Well,
no biology.
no. It's an anaerobic treatment system all by itself.
Last question I have on this is, if we do this and we try to create a campaign around it, would we be notifying all the property owners that we're aware of that have
Yes.
septic?
In order to give them an incentive too, I think it ought to be a short window, like say within the next 2 years. In order to give them some encouragement to get it done.
Right, and then at that time, we could also give them this information. You have 2 years, here's some grants, look them up. Yeah,
Maybe if it passes, you could consider having a public meeting of some kind just to talk to people in that situation.
Yeah.
Make sure they're.
great.
Your guys' first town hall.
I could grow it up or something. Oh, are we comfortable, trustees, administrator summary? Let us
Said
adjourn,
everything we needed to tell Dr.
let us adjourn this meeting at 8:02 PM.
Thank you.
Our next work session.